Speaker. It's my honor to rise in support of this legislation and to thank the many people who made this possible. Beginning, Mr. Speaker, with the Chairman's friendship and mentorship and leadership. Mr. Skelton is a gifted consensus builder and a great role model for many members of this House, myself included. I thank him from the bottom of my heart for this opportunity. To my very dear friend, Mr. McHugh, whose expertise is matched by his good-spiritedness and a sense of inclusiveness. The way that these two gentlemen work together, Mr. Speaker, is a model for how we ought to serve the public's problems, and I'm very grateful to serve with each of them. I want to thank my friend Mike Conaway from Texas, who is the ranking member of the special panel, who gave this effort a great deal of attention and diligence, and he and I, Mr. Speaker, know that our job is only about 1/5 done, and we look forward to proceeding in the weeks and months ahead. We want to extend our appreciation to each of the members of the special panel, Republican and Democrat, who came to the meetings, expressed their views. Each of them had a hand in shaping this legislation. Many of them offered amendments at the full committee markup that found its way into the legislation. As the Chairman said, those of us who are elected have the privilege of standing out front in these efforts, but the truth of the matter is that the most diligent and skillful work is done by the staffs that serve us with such distinction. And I do want to join the Chairman's comments and specifically thank Erin Connaughton, who's the leader of the staff on the majority side. She's built a tremendous team and is a great resource to the members of this House. Paul Oosberg, who is an able counsel in every respect and who guides us through the legal thicket. Andrew Hunter did a tremendous job on this. He was always available, always a great resource, a person of just great diligence. His counterpart on the minority side, Janice Simler, we thank her for her equally effective and cheerful and resourceful efforts. And I especially want to thank from my office staff, Nat Bell, who gave this around-the-clock attention, mastered the details in a very short period of time, and did just a terrific job. Mr. Speaker, when the American people hear that nearly $300 billion has been run up in cost overruns on major weapons systems, they're justifiably outraged. When we're paying $300 billion more than we should be for major weapons systems, they understand that we're not doing right by the people who wear the uniform and we're not doing right by them. As the Chairman said, to understand the magnitude of this problem, if we had not squandered that $300 billion in cost overruns, we would have had enough to pay the salaries of the troops, the health benefits of the troops and their families for more than 2 years. That's how much money that is, and it was squandered. So as a result of this effort, with the able leadership of Senators Levin and McCain on the other side, we are going to present to the President today, by this vote, a solution to that problem. And here is the essence to that solution. When the public asks, how do we really know how much these programs are going to cost, how effective they are, and when they're going to be done? For the first time, those questions will be answered by independent, qualified, accountable officials in the Department of Defense. Independent and accountable to the President, to the Congress, and to the general public. When people ask, we got a weapons system that doesn't appear to be working out very well in the early going. Its promise exceeded the early signs of its performance. For the first time, in that early stage, the weapons system will have to meet a rigid and severe burden before it can go on. And if the best judgment of the independent experts is it shouldn't go on, it won't. And we will not throw good money after bad. When people ask the question, a weapons system has far exceeded its projected cost and it's taking far longer than it should, why should it continue to go on? For the first time, this legislation will say, well, it shouldn't. And if there's a different decision made, if there's an exception given to this weapons system so it can go on, the weapons system will be watched like a hawk every day, every dollar, every step of the way to make sure that if a weapons system is not terminated after poor performance, that it gets right in a hurry, and stays right. And finally, when people ask the question, whose interests are really being served in this process? Are the decision makers really looking out for those who serve in the military of this country and use the systems? Are the interests of the taxpayers being looked after, or are there other interests at work? This legislation institutionalizes the rule that I think most of our decision makers in the Department of Defense have lived by as a matter of personal ethics. But it spreads that personal ethic into the law and says when you make decisions about protecting those who wear our uniform and spending our taxpayers' money, you may serve only one master. Conflicts of interest will be rigidly monitored and prohibited as a result of this legislation. Our work is just beginning. By passing this legislation, we are putting in place a series of safeguards and checks so we can understand if it looks like a system has been overpromised and underperforming. It is our responsibility, once this system is in place, to learn from its lessons so that we can give those who wear the uniform of this country the best that they deserve and pay for it with the price that the taxpayers deserve, with not a penny wasted. It has been an honor to serve with my friends and colleagues in this process. We are eager to see the bill become law. We would urge a yes vote from both Republicans and Democrats, and I would yield the balance of my time.
The gentleman from New York.
Thank you, Mr.